this tutorial we're going to be going over a simple way how to create a 3D GUI. So we can do this by creating two separate cameras and changing what the camera renders in order to just render objects within the scene, and that way it'll give it kind of a green screen effect where so that 3D objects can be displayed on screen instead of just GUI texture elements if you want. The only thing is you're going to have to go in through your code and do different settings for these GUI objects if you wanted. These objects can be anything you want. You could also create animated objects, but you'd still have to code it so that if you want the objects to do anything, so if the health was set up a certain way with an object, you'd have to adjust maybe the length and width or the size of the object through this. But yeah, you could have animated objects on your GUI or anything that you want really. So we can go in here real quick. What I did was I attached another camera to the first person controller. So what we're going to be doing with this camera is this is where we're going to be displaying all the 3D GUI elements. Oh, that's why. I was wondering why it wasn't showing up. It's because I had the distance set so low. There we go. Set it to 100. But yeah, pretty much I could probably set this a little bit higher. Pretty much anything within view will be displayed on the secondary camera. So we have our main camera, which is our player camera, and then this camera below the terrain, which will act as the GUI camera. And so you can set the far distance lower because we're only displaying stuff that's close up, unless you want to put stuff far away. And we can also do stuff like let's see here. In here, it's normally going to be set to skybox, so the skybox will render in the background. And the problem with that, if we're displaying two cameras, the camera below this, which will be our main camera, nothing will show up besides this view. So we want to change that to depth only, so it'll only show objects and not the background. And since there's no other objects down here besides the skybox, it'll only render that object. And then another thing you're going to want to do is change the depth to 1 for this new camera. And I believe that's the only settings you have to set for that. Just attach it to your first person controller and make sure it's below the world. So yeah. And then also what you want to do is one more thing I forgot. There's going to be different objects below here, and you want to take out the audio listener and anything else that's down here. You just want to remove it from the scene. And then you can go and you can take an object and place it right in front of the camera. I just placed a cube in there just for testing. It can all be attached however you want. You could also attach it to that camera just to keep it organized a little bit. And then your main camera can be set up just like how it normally would be. And this depth will be 0, and this one will be 1. And you can go and toss this entire thing back onto the player prefab if you want, and it'll spawn everything as new if you're working with that. Also, one other thing I might have to change up that I don't believe I changed up in here. I might actually have to set forgot where I put that setting. Network is mine. I might have to include another camera for this in some way, shape, or form. Or it might just, I don't know if it takes all the objects below and disables everything, but I want to make sure that this other camera is also the player's, so I guess I'll probably test that out in the future and make sure that it works, because I'm hoping that I don't need to do any other code for this second camera. It might need something else, but for now it works with one player. I haven't really gone and tested it with multiplayer, but we can jump in here real quick. Oh, that's one thing I forgot to do as well. You want to, if you have a second one in the scene, you want to disable it. because we're going to be spawning that one, or else it'll automatically spawn that. We can start scene, and you can see that that cube is the only thing displayed in the middle of our screen. If we run up against a wall or anything, nothing will go through it. It'll always be displayed, because if we were to render an object in front of this camera, we could put this block through different things. So this block will always be on the main part of the camera, and you could do different cool effects with this. So I'm going to be testing it out in the future for doing my different GUI elements in 3D space. So I guess you guys will probably see that in my next set of tutorials that's showing up.